There's a mysterious reason why one's social circle might shrink or even vanish. Have you ever wondered why you sometimes feel out of sync with those around you? It's as if you're tuned to a unique frequency, and your former connection with the crowd suddenly dissipates, leaving a sense of detachment. This experience can be a precursor to a spiritual awakening, yet, paradoxically, it can also be a source of isolation, even when surrounded by people, leading to a profound sense of loneliness. The first sign of a spiritual awakening worth considering is a transformation in relationships. When a spiritual awakening begins, your worldview undergoes fundamental changes. Values that once seemed important now feel insignificant. Doubts arise about accepted norms, the superficiality of conversations, and even the sincerity of connections with others. It's like transitioning from a black and white world to a colorful one, where not everyone is capable of perceiving the new shades. This shift can cause disorientation and make you feel like a stranger in familiar surroundings. Isolation manifests not just in a shrinking number of friends, but in a deep internal transformation. Development and growth occur that are not always visible to an external observer. There emerges a need for deeper connections that nourish the soul, rather than simply filling a social calendar. This isn't about being antisocial. It's about the soul's yearning for something more, something authentic. This thirst for depth and authenticity is not new. For centuries, people have felt this call, leading them to periods of solitude. Monks and spiritual seekers believed that answers to pressing questions could be found in silence and solitude. Monasticism, for example, has a long tradition of withdrawing from worldly concerns across various religions. Monasteries become havens where monks dedicate their lives to prayer, meditation, and the comprehension of profound truths. In the quiet of these sacred places, they seek a closer connection with the divine or their inner self. This practice is not limited to monks. History is full of examples of wise hermits and ordinary people who sought solitude to deepen their understanding of life and themselves. For instance, in Eastern traditions, yogis would retreat to the Himalayas for years in search of enlightenment, believing that by removing themselves from worldly distractions, they could achieve a higher state of consciousness. The Western world also has similar stories. Consider Henry David Thoreau, who spent 2 years in a cabin in the woods, seeking a simple life and delving into his thoughts without societal interference. His experience, chronicled in Walden, or Life in the Woods, illustrates how solitude can lead to profound insights and a deeper appreciation for life. It's important to remember that seeking solitude doesn't necessarily mean a complete abandonment of society, but rather a search for balance. It's about creating space to be alone with your thoughts, to listen to your inner voice without the constant noise of the outside world. This could be a few minutes of quiet reflection each day, or a vacation dedicated to exploring your inner world. But what happens next when solitude becomes a regular part of life? What other signs will indicate a spiritual awakening, and how will they affect your future life? But let's pause for a moment and reflect. Have you noticed how you're no longer drawn to empty conversations? How ordinary small talk or weekend plans no longer spark the same enthusiasm? This marks a significant turning point in your life's journey. It's not a loss of interest in people per se, but a developing desire for deeper, more meaningful interactions. This is a subtle yet powerful shift that often goes unnoticed until one Friday evening you wonder why you declined a party invitation. This transition can be challenging. There's a feeling of being misunderstood, judged, or even abandoned by those you once considered close. It's a path that sometimes must be walked alone, but it's important to remember that it's also a path to authenticity. You are shedding layers that no longer align with your true self, and in this process, it's natural to feel like an outsider. But here's the wonderful thing. As you move forward, you begin to attract people who are on the same wavelength as you. Your circle may become smaller, but it will be more meaningful. These new connections will be deeper, more genuine, and more resonant with who you are and who you are becoming. It's a shift from quantity to quality, from the superficial to the substantial. Continuing our exploration of the signs of this profound internal transformation, we move to the second important indicator: heightened sensitivity. Have you ever felt overwhelmed by the intensity of your own emotions or the energies surrounding you? This increased sensitivity is not just a fleeting mood, but a key aspect of your spiritual awakening. Suddenly, the world seems louder, brighter, and more vibrant. You don't just look, you perceive. You don't just hear, you listen intently. Every sense is amplified, and with this comes a deeper understanding of the world and your place within it. This newfound sensitivity can manifest in various ways. You might find a piece of music deeply moving, or news stories might affect you more profoundly than before. You may experience acute empathy for others, feeling their joys and sorrows as your own. This can be both a blessing and a burden. While it allows for a fuller experience of life, it can also leave you feeling exposed and vulnerable. This intensity isn't limited to emotions. Your physical senses can also become sharper. You begin to notice nuances in tastes and smells that you previously overlooked. The texture of fabric, the shades of colors, the subtleties of sounds. Everything seems magnified. This can lead to a feeling of sensory overload, making everyday environments suddenly seem overstimulating. But why does this happen? When a spiritual awakening occurs, your consciousness expands. You begin to connect with the world on a deeper level, picking up on subtleties that previously went unnoticed. This heightened sensitivity is a sign that you are opening up, that your consciousness is moving beyond your former self. Managing this increased sensitivity can be challenging. You may need to spend more time alone, seeking quiet places to recharge and process your experiences. It's important to remember that this is not an escape from the world, but a way to find balance within your expanding awareness. One method for developing heightened receptivity is meditation, a practice rooted deeply in centuries of history and embraced across various cultures and societal strata. It aims to sharpen inner intuition and deepen understanding of the surrounding world. Meditation involves intentional concentration of attention and a release from external distractions, allowing an individual to connect with their thoughts, emotions, and sensations. Those who practice meditation regularly report increased sensitivity to their own experiences and a deeper penetration into their inner world. Meditation plays a crucial role in tuning into one's own emotions. As is known, heightened sensitivity can lead to experiencing strong emotions, and meditation becomes an effective tool for managing them. By dwelling in silence and observing thoughts and feelings without judgment, one develops awareness of their emotional states. This, in turn, contributes to better emotional regulation and the attainment of inner balance. Furthermore, meditation contributes to improved sensory perception. During meditation, attention is often focused on the breath or a specific point, leading to a deeper awareness of physical sensations. One begins to notice subtle changes in breathing, the feeling of support underfoot, or the touch of air on the skin. This heightened sensitivity to physical sensations carries over into daily life, allowing one to perceive the world with greater depth and fullness. Over time, as one adapts to this new level of sensitivity, they begin to see it not as an obstacle, but as a valuable gift, enabling them to experience life with unprecedented depth and richness, establishing a profound personal and meaningful connection with the surrounding world. Moving on to the third sign of spiritual awakening, the search for authenticity and truth. It plays a pivotal role in shaping your interaction with the world and yourself. Have you ever noticed yourself questioning accepted norms and the very structure of reality? There emerges a desire to look beyond the surface, in search of something genuine and real. This quest for authenticity is not merely a pursuit of external truth, but also the uncovering of truth within yourself. It's a deep dive into the essence of your being, a reevaluation of long-held beliefs and values. The path to authenticity often begins with self-reflection. You start spending more time in contemplation, exploring your thoughts, feelings, and actions. It's like peeling back layers, revealing aspects of yourself that were previously hidden or ignored. This process can be challenging, even painful, as it forces you to confront parts of yourself you might not be proud of. However, it also brings liberation, bringing you closer to your true self. The search for authenticity also changes how you interact with the world around you. You become more selective about the information you consume, the conversations you engage in, and the people you associate with. Superficial discussions, empty relationships, and social masks lose their appeal. A need for depth, honesty, and sincerity arises in all forms of communication. It's not about criticism or judgment, but about aligning your external life with your inner truth. This alignment is not always easy and can lead to conflicts with societal norms and expectations. You might feel like an outsider, walking a less traveled path that goes against the accepted state of things. However, this is the essence of spiritual awakening: liberation from illusions and the acceptance of truth, no matter how inconvenient or unconventional it may be. In the annals of medieval philosophy, the figure of Thomas Aquinas, a 13th century theologian and philosopher, stands tall, his life embodying the relentless pursuit of truth and authenticity. The era in which he lived was strikingly different from our own, yet his unwavering dedication to knowledge and understanding of the world remains an eternal guide for humanity. Thomas Aquinas was characterized by deep introspection, immersing himself in the examination of his own beliefs and values. He dared to question established norms, which were often dictated by the Church and its dogmas. Aquinas firmly believed in the power of reason and rationality as tools for understanding the world and divine creation, representing a departure from the blind acceptance of religious tenets prevalent in his time. Similar to the modern search for authenticity, which involves self-analysis and reflection, Aquinas indulged in profound philosophical contemplation. He sought to reconcile faith and reason, believing that both aspects were necessary for the attainment of truth. This internal exploration was fraught with difficulties, as it challenged accepted beliefs and at times contradicted religious authorities. Aquinas also transformed his approach to the world around him, engaging in deep and meaningful conversations with scholars and thinkers, striving for intellectual honesty and sincerity. His works, particularly the Summa Theologica, reflect his pursuit of depth and clarity in argumentation. Aquinas was not content with superficial explanations, but delved into the profoundest questions of existence and morality. In his quest for authenticity, Aquinas sought to align his external life with his internal truth, advocating for the importance of virtue and ethics in human behavior. He believed that a virtuous life was essential for achieving harmony with one's true self and with the divine. This alignment with internal values was not easy, as it involved challenging the societal norms of his time. In the context of interpersonal relationships, the search for authenticity can be particularly challenging. The desire for connections based on truth and depth is uncommon, and one may experience a sense of loneliness on this path. However, it is important to remember that this loneliness is not a sign of failure, but rather a testament to one's commitment to authenticity. Moving on to the next aspect, we encounter a profound phenomenon: the emergence of a new sense of purpose in life. Surely, everyone has at some point felt that what they had pursued for many years no longer brought satisfaction. This isn't merely a midlife crisis or a fleeting infatuation, but a fundamental shift in life's direction, a reevaluation of what truly matters. A new sense of purpose involves aligning one's actions with deep-seated values and passions, seeking a goal that extends beyond material or conventional achievements. This reevaluation often begins with a feeling of restlessness, a sense that something is missing or incomplete in life. One might start to question their career, goals, and even hobbies. What once brought satisfaction now seems empty and meaningless. This can be unsettling, as it undermines the very foundations of one's identity and place in the world. However, this restlessness serves as a call to action, an urging from the inner self to find a path more aligned with one's true nature. It's an invitation to explore new possibilities, to learn, grow, and contribute in a way that truly matters. This doesn't necessarily mean radical changes, such as quitting a job or moving to another country, although for some it might. Rather, it's about reorienting one's life around values and activities that resonate with the soul. By embracing this new sense of purpose, one may notice changes in their priorities and choices. They might be drawn to activities that nourish their spirit, to work that feels meaningful, and to interactions with people who inspire and uplift them. This shift is not a rejection of the past, but a building of a future that is more harmonious. With who one is becoming, diving into the depths of self-knowledge leads to philosophical reflections characteristic of existentialism. This school of thought emphasizes freedom of choice, individual responsibility, and the uniqueness of each person's life path. Existentialism asserts that humans are the creators of their own destiny, independently defining the meaning of their existence. In contrast to conventional standards of success, this philosophy encourages turning inward to uncover authentic desires and aspirations. A central tenet of existentialism is the idea that there is no pre-assigned meaning to life. Each individual must create it themselves. This realization can evoke both awe and a sense of freedom. Fear arises from the absence of universal solutions and ready-made paths, while freedom lies in the ability to independently define one's life path, filling it with joy and satisfaction. Doubts about the correctness of one's chosen direction and a feeling of inner restlessness can serve as a signal for an existential reevaluation. This is a moment when a person is ready to take responsibility for their life and make choices that align with their true self. This process requires courage and deep self-reflection, including exploring one's passions, experimenting, and being willing to take risks. It is important to realize that the search for a new meaning in life is a complex and not always straightforward path. Along this path, doubts, fears, and uncertainty are inevitable, which, according to existentialism, are a natural part of the human experience. They should be perceived not as obstacles, but as stimuli for growth and a deeper understanding of oneself and the world around. It is worth emphasizing that finding and embracing a new meaning in life is a continuous journey, not a final destination. It involves trial and error, learning and growth. Moments of doubt and fear are inevitable, as stepping outside one's comfort zone is rarely easy. However, these difficulties are an integral part of the personal growth process, shaping a more conscious and fulfilled individual. The expansion of consciousness and compassion represents another significant sign of personal transformation. This is not merely an intellectual broadening, but a deepening of emotional and spiritual awareness. Sudden surges of empathy, the ability to feel others' pain, and a profound connection to the universe all indicate an expansion of consciousness, an awareness of belonging to something greater than oneself. As consciousness expands, an understanding of the interconnectedness of all things emerges. One realizes that their actions, thoughts, and feelings are not isolated events, but are woven into the complex fabric of existence. This awareness gives rise to a sense of responsibility and a desire to live in harmony with others and with nature. The world begins to be perceived not only through the lens of personal needs and desires, but also from the perspective of collective well-being. Compassion is a natural consequence of expanded consciousness. It's not just about pity for others, but a genuine understanding of their difficulties and a desire to help. This compassion extends not only to people, but to all living beings and the environment. One begins to take actions, big or small, aimed at the well-being of others and the planet, showing kindness in everyday interactions, volunteering, or making choices in favor of environmentally friendly products. Expanded consciousness and compassion bring a sense of peace and satisfaction. One finds joy in the well-being of others and contentment from contributing to the common good. This doesn't mean life becomes problem-free, but one's attitude toward difficulties changes. They begin to be perceived as opportunities for growth and learning, both for oneself and for those around. In conclusion, it is worth noting that the fifth sign of spiritual awakening, namely the expansion of consciousness and compassion, arguably plays a pivotal role in this process. It marks a transformation from self-centeredness to a broader worldview, full of empathy and an awareness of the interconnectedness of all things. As you embark on this path of self-discovery, it is important to remember that even small steps in this direction contribute not only to personal spiritual development, but also to positive changes in the world around you.